Good morning. Welcome to the Zoom service of the Universal United, what's the name of this? Church Community of Lake County. I'm Dottie Beebe and I'll be your service leader. Does anyone have any announcements? Then we will have opening words by Reverend Byrd.
Good morning, and happy Rosh Hashanah to all of you. The reading this morning is My UU Church by Anonymous, but I do have her permission to use it. I wouldn't want to go to a church where there were no pagans. I would miss the reverence for nature. I wouldn't want to go to a church where there were no Christians. I would miss the message of love and forgiveness. I wouldn't want to go to a church where there were no agnostics. I would miss the constant, honest questioning. I wouldn't want to go to a church where there were no Buddhists. I would miss the stillness, the mindfulness. I wouldn't want to go to a church where there were no Muslims. I would miss the emphasis on taking care of others. I wouldn't want to go to a church where there were no atheists. I would miss the love of science and knowledge. I wouldn't want to go to a church where there were no Jews. I would miss the sense of tradition rooted in history. I wouldn't want to go to a church where there were no humanists. I would miss the concern for well-being of all. I wouldn't want to go to a church that lacked any of these because, you see, I am greedy. I want it all. I want my spiritual path to be crowded with seekers of goodwill, excited about life's questions, open to possibilities, passionate about justice, looking for answers, reaching out a helping hand, and loving church, loving life. That's my UU Church. We'll now have the hymn, For the Beauty of the Earth. Hill and vale and tree and flower, sun
Source of all, to thee we raise this, our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild. Source of all, to thee we raise this, our hymn of grateful praise.
Good morning again. Welcoming everyone to this worship. We gather to worship our hearts alive and hope that here we will truly be seen, that here we will be welcomed into the garden of this community, where the simple and the elegant, the fluted and the frilled, the shy and the dramatic complement each other and are treasured. Come, let us worship together, all genders, sexualities, politics, clappers and non-clappers, progressive or conservative. May we root ourselves in the values of this faith: compassion and courage, transcendence, justice, and transformation. And that was by, the author was Megan Barnhouse. Okay.
Oh,
And now we will have the chalice lighting. Have my chalice. I think you can see my chalice. Across the distance, the light from within me shines, sending love to all. Across the distance, your light is fuel that warms me and helps to keep my own light burning. Together we will keep the flame of community burning bright. Now we will have the music of the song of Spirit of Life.
Of compassion,
It is now time for our joys and concerns. We now make time for those who wish to offer a joy, concern, or sorrow, or to set an intention for the coming days. If you have a joy, concern, or sorrow that is best expressed verbally, well, you may say that at this time. But first we'll have, does anyone have a joy, concern, or It is now time for our silent reflection. Spirit of love, you find the gentle words to speak life into me and hold me when all around me feels broken. You remind me that I'm loved and saved just as I am. Your salvation is found in the living life loved. Remind me who I am, O holy mystery. Help me to see you in the small everyday moments where you are found. Grant me the wisdom to listen for you and to seek you in those unlikely and unexpected places. By Alex Jensen. Now we will have our silent reflection. We will now read together the congregational covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning.
Good morning, Reverend Byrd.
When I was contacted to preach here, I asked, what topic do you want to hear? And I was told, spirituality in the time of COVID. Okay. That's a little daunting, partly because the experience of COVID is so very different for so many of us. For some, this is a time of isolation as we shelter in place, unable to visit people and do all the things we're used to doing. It's full of frustrations. For some, it's a time of reflection, to be able to spend time learning and growing. For some, it's a time of fear for ourselves and our loved ones. For some, it's a time to take stock, reorder priorities, and maybe reevaluate goals. And for some, it's a time when everything we've worked for, everything we've built is going down the drain. And all of this is happening not just to us, but to everyone else too, and all at the same time. And COVID isn't the only thing that's going on right now. Fires, storms, the economy, political unrest. It's kind of a perfect storm. I'm just not sure for what. Spirituality in the time of COVID. Sounds like the title to a book I didn't want to read in English Lit. What is spirituality at any time? Is it really any different now? Or do we just tend to have a little more time to think about it? For us Unitarian Universalists, spirituality is not an easy question. What definition can we come up with that will work for all of us, no matter our theological understandings? Now, this is the part in the service where I'm supposed to say something wise. Don't hold your breath. I'm not really all that wise. So instead, I'm going to invite you to bumble along with me as I explore a few of the things I've been thinking about since the topic came up. And hopefully you will have a few things to say yourself during the reflections after the service. A lot of folks I know say they are not religious, but they're spiritual. And I always wonder what they mean by that. The traditional understanding of the word spirituality has something to do with God. I don't think that necessarily works for a lot of us. I would say instead that spirituality has to do with a sense of being connected to something greater than ourselves. And that can be any number of things and take a whole myriad of different forms. I remember once hiking in the mountains when we came to a clearing at the edge of a cliff. An eagle just happened to fly by at eye level. And I was suddenly filled with a sense of awe at the sheer beauty of that experience. Maybe that was a moment of spirituality. Or the time spent at the Vietnam Memorial Wall in Washington to see all those names, touch them, some of which I knew. Each one of those names was a person with hopes and dreams, all cut short. I think of the parents who grieved, the siblings, the friends, sometimes children and partners who lost so much. I felt for them and then with them. Maybe that was a moment of spirituality. I think of the first time I saw my granddaughter, small and perfect. That definitely was spiritual. And what do those moments have in common? A sense of being connected to something greater, and perhaps a sense of awe. Sometimes those spiritual moments are a part of our daily lives, and we don't always recognize them, but sometimes we do. I know a woman who bakes bread for her family 2 or 3 times a week. She uses yeast she's kept alive for 40 years. She got that yeast from her mother, who got it from her mother. And when you watch her kneading the dough, you can feel this connection of family going back in time. There's a fellow I know who studies astronomy as a hobby. He pores over the latest findings in journals and magazines. He often watches the stars and the planets through his home telescope. He excitedly shares the latest findings with friends and family. His love of science is infectious, And he connects those of us who listen to him with that love of science. So many examples. A parent reading a bedtime story to his child, a teenager running in the field with her dog, a child just learning the magic and wonder that comes with reading. All of these moments, it seems to me, are tiny bits of spirituality, tiny bits of connection. But with COVID, part of the problem is that we cannot gather as we used to. And we don't know how long this will last and what the world will be like after. It's hard to find ways of being connected when you can't be with others. People are finding ways, but I do worry about those who are left out. Now, I've been talking here about meaningful moments, beautiful moments, and we've all had them. But there are times that are not so beautiful, times that are bleak, seemingly devoid of meaning, and we've all had those too. And that is when connections seem to be the most important, but also the most difficult to find. Years ago, I did a bit of prison ministry. I remember sitting in a large room full of tables and chairs, watching the prisoners who were gathered, waiting, hoping for visitors. I thought about their lives, trapped in this place, some of them for life. And I wondered, what gives their lives meaning? Because these are people, not just like us, they are us. Because they're people who need meaning in their lives, just as you and I do. Meaning, spirituality. And they're more than just the worst things they've ever done in their lives. Guilty or innocent, they were children once. They had dreams. They had hopes. And now they face a very bleak future. What is it that gives them meaning? From where, under these horrific circumstances, do they find their dignity and worth? Where do any of us in hard times? No easy answer here. Our first principle enjoins us to affirm and support the dignity and worth of every individual. And that includes ourselves. We do have dignity and worth right now. No matter what your status, no matter where your relationships are, no matter the state of your bank account or career or health, you have dignity and worth. You know that. I'm just reminding you of what you already know. You are worthy. Your life matters. That's not hubris. That's just fact. But if you're anything like me, sometimes you forget that. We can fall into despair and get lost in the darkness. I can remember a time when my self-worth was so low, I had so little meaning that the only real usefulness I felt I had was to be a warm lap for my cat. But I'd like to point out that for my cat, I represented warmth, acceptance, and security. And that's not so bad. There are times right now for people who are really having a hard time. People in nursing homes, prisons, refugee camps, the homeless. They're facing more now than I care to imagine. Many of them are struggling just to survive. Society is telling them that they do not matter, that they aren't important, but they are. They are deserving of meaning in their lives. They deserve to be able to realize their inherent dignity and worth because they have it. They do have it, just as you and I do. But sometimes, like I said, we forget. What is it we need to do to remember our dignity and worth? What can we do to help others remember theirs? As a minister, I don't think it's my job to give you the answers, but rather to ask the questions and make room for your questions, because each of us do have questions and probably a couple of useful answers. We have things to share. So these are some of the ideas I've been wrestling with. Spirituality and how it relates to our dignity and worth. I think they're connected. It does seem to me that when we feel the most connected to that which is important to us, that's when we're most aware of our dignity and worth. And right now, that's vital for the world. I am reminded of the Howard Thurman quote. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, then go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. So what is it that makes you come alive? What is it that connects you and makes you remember your dignity and worth and that of others around you? It might be an idea or a cause, perhaps involvement with music or art or sports. Maybe you're really good at fixing things or learning a new language, studying science or planning a meal. Or maybe it's as simple as a walk outside, feeling the wind on your face, hearing the crickets and the birds. Maybe it's appreciating the laughter of children playing, or having a garden flourish. You are a creative, caring person with so much to give. What is it that makes you come alive? Go do it. So be it.
May nothing evil cross this door, and may ill fortune never pry about these windows. May the roar and rain go by faith made strong, the rafters will withstand the sheltering of the storm, this hearth, though all the world grow chill, will keep you warm. He shall walk softly through these rooms, touching our lips with holy wine, till every casual corner blooms into a shrine. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and though their sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep hate out and hold love in. May
Thank you, Reverend Byrd. That message was so touching and reminding us of where spirituality is and how we can see it and appreciate it, and also to remind us how we all have dignity and hope. Thank you. It is now time for our offering. We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. And here on the screen is the way you can mail in your offerings to the post office box in Eustis. And now
For
we'll
our
have
final words,
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
For our final words, may your home be a sanctuary and a place of peace. May laughter live with you and call you a friend. May peace be in your heart and give you strength. And may your life be a beacon to those who come after. So be it. Thank you for gathering in this time and this place.
Okay, I did that. It is now time to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again.